You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called Destinations, proudly brought to you by the House of Travel team in Hastings. It's our pleasure, as always, to have in the hot seat Steve Lawson from the House of Travel in Hastings. How you going, Steve?
Good, thanks, Ken. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. And now you're a star of YouTube. Say g'day to everyone.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, good.
Hello, Mum. Steve, we're here today to talk about something which a lot of us do when we're on holiday. We sort of wing it. We get somewhere and we say, yeah, what are we going to do now? Do you find that with your clients, that's what happens?
Oh, most definitely. I think people sort of waste a little bit of time most days. They don't really know what it is they want to do when they get there, and they think they'll wing it and save a bit of money. But I often feel that if we prepare them for it, it's a lot better day, a lot better experience for them.
I suppose a lot of people though think that, oh look, if I go on those organised trips, all I'm going to see is the tourist thing, and I want to do my own thing. I want to see how the real people live. Have they got a point there, or can you also organise those sort of tours?
Yeah, most definitely. I think people feel that that they know a little bit better than we do sometimes. They get that impression, but I think if you get off the beaten track and get to where the locals are staying, seeing what they're doing, it's a lot richer experience as a traveller.
Yeah.
You know, I've done it myself. Even before I was a travel agent, I used to travel. I think, I'll just wait till I get there. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, so I don't really know what I want to plan to do. But look, most of the stuff that we do, that we can pre-arrange, is quite flexible, quite date changeable. So, you know, if you wake up on a Tuesday in Sydney and it's a really wet day and you plan to do the bridge climb, the companies that provide these tours, they'll change it for you, no problem at all. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's getting out with the locals, off the beaten track, off the touristy things as well sometimes, you know, exactly. Homestays or cooking experiences with a local chef, that type of thing.
That would be awesome.
You know, I've done a lot myself over in Aussie, as we mentioned before we went on air, and things like when you go to Melbourne and you do the MCG sports tour, or you do the bridge climb at the Adelaide Oval, the Sydney Tower, that type of thing. You know, there's a brewery tour, I think if we get into small groups type situations, you're with a local who's knowledgeable, and they're giving you a much better feed on what to experience. You know, if we see tourists come to Napier and Hastings all the time, and you see the Art Deco tours going around, you know, and I think that's a fantastic thing, because it's one thing to walk around and look at the buildings, and you get home and you think, well, what was that? What was that all about?
Yeah.
But to have a local guide with you, giving you the history of something behind the scenes, I think that enriches the whole travel experience in my book.
So when someone comes to see you, is it a good idea for them to say, look, this is what I really want to do? I don't necessarily want to go on those. When I go to Paris, I don't necessarily just want to go to the Louvre.
Yes.
I want to do this, and this. Otherwise, you'll say, well, hey, look, got you booked in for the Louvre, got you booked in for the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, exactly. And look, and it's I'm always a great believer, if you're at a city anywhere in the world and there's water nearby, be it a lake, be it a river, be it a harbour, get on the water on a little coffee cruise or a little sightseeing cruise, because you see such a different perspective of the city. It's undescribable, really. When you was recently in Paris late last year, or the year before it was, I should say, and just getting on the Seine River cruise and going from the Eiffel Tower round to Notre Dame and then back again. I mean, I've been to Paris 2 or 3 times, but it gave me such a better perspective of the city from the water, and just seeing the locals along the bankside just reading and relaxing and stuff like that. I think it was just magic, absolutely magic.
I suppose the other thing is, I mean, if you wing it, I mean, we could all do that. We could all just get on a ferry or a boat and do that, but having someone talking to us about what we're seeing,
absolutely.
Hey, that is this building, that is that building, these guys are having croissants.
There's companies in most major cities, and they call them, let's take London for example, the big bus tour company. You know, hop on, hop off tours, and you can buy a 24-hour, 48-hour, 72-hour ticket, so you're not rushing around trying to do it all in one day. So if you start at 3 o'clock on a Monday, it'll go through to 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, so you can split it over 2 days. And they have different routes, and of course not only is the driver looking after you and stopping at the sites, they have multi-stops, so you can get off, experience the region that you're in, and wait for the next tour to come round. But there's also a tour manager on board who's actually commenting on the things that you're seeing and doing, which I think is magic.
You mentioned Melbourne. My wife and I went went to Melbourne a few years back, and we were staying right in the middle of the business area, and I think we were there for about 4 days. And look, we literally didn't get out of 3 blocks because there was so much to do. But we thought, in the end, there was so much. We thought, well, what are we going to do? There's so much to do. You know, we made it to the prison. We had a look around there.
Yeah.
But we probably spent more than half a day deciding on what we're going to do before we ended up in the prison.
That's a great point, Ken. I mean, sometimes we can waste an awful lot of time thinking about what we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and before you know it, we're mid-morning heading into lunch and we haven't even left the hotel room.
Exactly.
You
right.
know, and Melbourne's a great example. There's lots of little hidden treasures in you know, in the back blocks and stuff like that, little cafes, little art shops, little restaurants and things like that most people don't see. We tend to stick on the main track, and it's so easy to miss.
Exactly.
And I'm always a firm believer is go where the locals go.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the shining examples that you've come across when you've been, well, let's have a look at Aussie. What are some of the shining examples there that you've explored that would be good for us to explore?
Oh, look, just several things actually. I got on the jet sprint boat that went around Sydney Harbour, goes under the bridge and does all the whirly gigs, that sort of thing. Look, you get a little bit wet, but that's part and parcel of it.
It's the fun.
There's the Captain Cook's coffee cruise or the evening dinner cruises. You know, the harbour lights at night goes right up through around Circular Quay, past the Opera House, things like that. But even just the free things that you can do, like walking across Sydney Harbour Bridge. You know, the bridge climb. That's a prime example. Obviously, you pay for that one. But there's plenty to see and do. And get down to Bondi. There's a great walk that goes around the coast. Could take you 2 or 3 hours, but it's just out there and breathing the fresh air and doing something very, very different.
You mentioned a good point before that often people think that they know more than you. I mean, you guys have been in business for more than 130 years between you at House of Travel in Hastings. And has the internet got a lot to do with that, you know, because people organise their own flights, they organise their own hotels, they say what's on in Melbourne, they can do all that themselves, can't they? But
yeah, most definitely. Look, I've been in the game, this is my 21st year, and I think I'm still learning every year. And there's not many jobs that you can do that. And look, we embrace the internet. We learn a lot about ourselves, and it's a fantastic tool. Some sites that are on the internet can only be booked via an agent. Airfares in particular, we see a lot of sale airfares online, the likes of Webjet, who do a famous ad bagging travel agents. But what that doesn't tell you is we're going for the same flights as them, but sometimes we get a wholesale rate where we get a much cheaper deal than what is online. So it pays to shop around, it pays to do your homework. By all means, bring us what you find online and we'll have a damn good look at it and make sure that you're getting the right deal for you.
good point that you make there, because one of the most famous ads that I'm always aware of, and I've never followed it up, should have a look. That Trivago ad, I mean, how good is that? Is that a kosher ad? I mean, are those prices represented? She says you can stay here for $199 or you can stay here for $99, same hotel.
Yeah, look, most definitely. Even with our own supplier site that we use, we have 2 or 3 different suppliers for the same hotel, and the rates can vary. They pre-buy a room at a certain rate that they guarantee. Let's say if at the start of the year they buy 1,000 room nights, well, they've got it signed in at a certain contract rate, so they've got to, you know, keep that rate going right throughout, and this is why we get such a variance of stuff like that. So it is very confusing for the consumer, I must admit. But when I hark back to that Webjet airfare ad that is so famous on the television, you know, and they go on about how this quote is not valid after an hour or whatever. No different for them. It's all an instant purchase world for them. You can see a site online, check the price, think, oh, I like that. Go away, check another site for a hotel. Yeah, I like that. Book that. Go back to the Webjet site, and the airfare's changed. So, you know, let's talk about fair balance here. But look, as I say, we certainly embrace the internet. We think it's a fantastic tool for both the consumer and for ourselves, and we're learning all the time.
Okay, maybe a bit further afield from, say, the likes of Australia. We want to go to England. You've been to England a few times?
To London? Yes, I have,
What are some of the must-sees over there that you've done that we normally might not even think about?
Oh, look, I talked about the big bus tour company before. St Paul's Cathedral, I think, is a magnificent beast, I could spend all day in places like that. Of course, London's changed a lot since I lived there in the mid-90s. You now got the Gherkin building and the Shard building, and London Eye, in fact, has gone up since I last lived there. But even getting out of London for the day, doing a day trip down to the southern coast, into Canterbury or Kent, and north to Norfolk or Suffolk. I lived down in a place called Battle, which was about half an hour north of Hastings, and just getting out of the rat race. But London itself, I think, when you're in a big city like that, be it Paris, New York, or whatever, get on the metro, on the tube, live like a local for half a day, and you look at the map and you think, crikey, that looks like Japanese or a NASA instruction. But when you're there and you're having a crack at it, it just enriches your travel experience, I think. And you just got to give it a go.
No, you're right. And look, my wife and I went to London for a while, and we got on the tubes. And what we found was that the locals just bent over backwards to help you.
Oh, most definitely. Look, and Japan was the same, Granted, English wasn't the first language over there, but people could see that you were stuck, and they would stop and try and lend assistance to you. I think that's fantastic. And I'd hope that as Kiwis we do the same here. I know I certainly do.
Absolutely. Mind you, when we went to Europe, and I tell you what, if I see another church, I'm going to scream.
Look,
I must think that everyone likes churches.
Isn't it amazing? And look, Adelaide's a great example of that. They call that the city of churches, you know? And the city of pubs, funnily enough, because there's just as many pubs. But it's just something about the history of Europe. It's all about the Christian pagans and the churches and the buildings that are centuries years old. That Paris,
and I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I totally agree. They start to morph into each other, and it's pretty hard. You can take a whole range of photographs, get home, and you think, now what was that one again? What was that one again? If you're with a small guided tour, doing a little day trip, and you're videoing it, you've actually got the commentary there telling you what it is, isn't it? So,
although, like I say, I mean, the churches that we saw were magnificent, and I think what happened on that occasion was that we had a package tour, and they said, okay, we're going to take you on a tour of the city, and the tour of the city might have meant that you're going to see 17 great cathedrals and a bit of other stuff. Can you actually say, well, hang on, Steve, they're not my cup of tea. I wouldn't mind seeing one, but I don't want to see 17.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you can tell your tour guide that as well. Say, look, do you mind if I stop here for half an hour? If you loop around, where shall I meet you? That type of thing. Because let's face it, we don't want to be dragged through somewhere that we're not enjoying, do we?
Exactly.
So we can tailor make anything and everything to meet your needs for sure.
So what's the bottom line? We come to see you guys at House of Travel. Like I say, you've been in the industry for more than 130 years. You're probably the most experienced travel company in Hawke's Bay. What would be, I come to see you, what's the brief that you would expect from me?
Look, I certainly welcome people that do their homework. It makes my job a heck of a lot easier. Basically, if people, we get a lot of emails and calls with very, very minimal information on it. First of all, we need to know your full names as per passports, the dates you want to go, how you want to go, be it economy, premium economy, business class, just as much information as you can give us, and then leave it up to us to formulate a map, a plan for you, to present to you. And we'll put any and every idea in there, and it's not gospel. You can pick and choose whatever you like, but it's important that we give you the opportunity to know what's there. Okay, I think choice is very important in the consumer's mind. But if we put 4 or 5 highlights in there that we know are bestsellers, that we get great feedback on time and time again. For example, yourself with Hawaii, Pearl Harbor. It'd be like going to Paris and not going up the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, that's right.
Hawaii is all about Pearl Harbor, isn't it? The history and the beaches and stuff like that. But little things like zoo visits, or particularly if you're travelling with children, educational things like SeaWorld, zoos, etc. So, look, there's something there for everybody, and it's important that we help you understand what is available and what is your choice to pick.
Speaking of Pearl Harbor, just as an aside, I was talking to another friend the other day who's going to Hawaii a bit later on. I said, you're going to go to Pearl Harbor? And they said, no, why would I want to go there? I said, why would you want to go there?
I know.
Why wouldn't you want to go there?
Isn't it bizarre? I mean, everyone has different things that spins their wheel, I suppose, but it'd be like going to a brewery and just having a glass of water, wouldn't it?
That's right. Steve, if we want to come and see you guys at the House of Travel, just remind our listeners where you are.
Yeah, look, we're in the ASB building in Market Street in Hastings. Right next to Adecco Recruitment and, of course, ASB Bank.
Good on you, Steve. As was a pleasure. You look after yourself. We'll talk to you same time, same place next time.
Thanks very much, Ken. Always a pleasure.